from John Corbett, and he will mention to you that one of our members, Vance Smith, had a bad accident, had to have surgery to repair his ankle. So he is not here today, but John, if you'll go ahead and begin. You're 26?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Y'all bow with me. Dear Lord, we come before you today, Lord, just we can know Jesus or know how. Lord, just want to thank you for this day. Thank you for the many blessings you bestow upon us each and every day. Lord, just thank you for this great state of Georgia we get to call home, the abundance of natural resources that we have to enjoy, preserve, and protect to pass on to future generations. Lord, we just want to say a special prayer this morning for our friend and colleague Vance Smith. If he's out there listening, Lord, we just pray that you just touch him and give him a fast and complete recovery and have him back to work soon. Lord, just thank you for all that you do. Pray that you just forgive us where we fail. In all things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. So good morning, everyone. We normally begin our first committee meeting by having our committee members introduce themselves. So I'll start to my far right. If you'll just press your button, then say your name and your district, and can do one plug for your district.
119, that's Bear County and Jackson County, and we have one of the best state parks in the state, in Fort Yargo.
I'm Joe.
Wait, all right,
Joe.
27?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Joe Campbell, District 171. That's very southwest corner of Georgia. Actually butts up to the Florida line, Mitchell County, Decatur County, part of Grady, and just very heavy agriculture. And natural resources are plenty down where I'm from. Y'all do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John Corbett, District 171. This is my 10th year in the legislature, 10th year on this committee. My district goes from I-75 to I-95, 6 counties across the Florida line, Lowndes, Eccles, Clinch, Ware, Charlton, and Brantley counties. Really hard to remember all those, but and like Joe said, we have a lot of ag and timber in my district, and we're the #1 forestry state in the nation, and we proud of our trees.
Good morning, David Huddleston, District 72, about 40 miles west of Atlanta. My district kind of borders up to Chairman Lynn Smith's district along the Chattahoochee, and so we got a lot of great natural resources and opportunities along the river.
You're 22. Okay.
Kimberly New, District 64, that's Douglas County, Paulding County, and we house the City of Gold.
Good morning, Rick Townsend, 179 Glenn County. I have 70% of Glenn County. Live down on the coast of Brunswick and St. Simons. Beautiful area. Definitely want you guys to come down and visit. We have some of the best state people down there between DNR, EPD. They've helped us out quite a bit recently. So we really appreciate all the state people that's come in there, and they live there too. That's what makes a difference. That's what makes a difference, and just appreciate being part of this committee.
And Representative Townsend is also the secretary of the committee.
Yes, ma'am.
And who am I? I'm chair. Okay. Good morning. I'm Lynn Smith. I represent House District 70. House District 70 is south of Atlanta, 85. I'm always amazed when I get here anywhere on time with all the traffic on 85. But my district includes Coweta County, a few cities. We have Noonan, we have Whitesburg, I have part of Sharpsburg. So I deal with rural, urban, and metro Atlanta anywhere in my county. But this marks my 28th year here, and I've been chair of the committee since we were the majority since 2005. And I can say this is one of the hardest working groups that I've ever worked with. Every year, everybody seems to step up to the plate. We deal with issues that are not easy to deal with. We get bombarded with emotional push, and so I want to take a moment to thank the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. That is our policy academy in the interims, and we go there and learn more about the issues so we can make informed decisions. So we're one of the hardest working, but maybe the least noticed committees. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Are you saying that I-85 is the busiest state park in the state?
No amenities.
I'm Debbie Buckner, and I represent House District 137, which is Muskogee, Meriwether, Troup, and Talbot counties. And I've been on the committee for 22 years, and probably one of the most, if not the most visited historic site in the state is the Little White House, and that is in my district in Warm Springs, and it is right next door to another great state park, the FDR State Park. We're proud of both.
Well, good morning. I'm Representative Viola Davis, and I serve House District 87, primarily in Stone Mountain, Tucker, and Pine Lake. And as far as DeKalb County, we're the heart of the county, and we're known for Stone Mountain Park and Emory University.
Good morning, I'm Lauren McDonald III. I represent the people, the folks of District 26, which is Forsyth County. I represent almost all of Lake Lanier. I have a good report. By Sunday, lake should be full by all the rain we're getting. So it was looking kind of dim there for a while, and then docks sitting on the ground. But now I think they're going to be going uphill to get to your dock. Now, Commissioner, what the next meeting? I'm getting all the hats, so I'm kind of happy. I got the brown one Monday, and now I'm getting the green one. So I just want to thank y'all for all that y'all do.
Lieutenant Colombo. Of course, Lauren said Inspector Gadget. I don't know what the heck. But Clay Perkle, I'm from South Georgia. I'm a farmer. Represent Tiff, Turner, Irwin, Coffee counties. And I noticed about the hat. So wonderful hat. Thank you. 100% cotton. As a cotton producer, thank you so much. And as a farmer, thank you for what you do.
That's most of our committee, and again, everybody works really hard. But since people are mentioning their parks, I got to tell y'all, we have Chat Bend State Park in Coweta County. It is a phenomenal park. It's going to be part of the Riverland, the canoe paddle from all of Atlanta going south. Lots of amenities, but really it is a true natural park, and one for camping and canoeing, etc. But now I want to introduce to you David Hartman. What's your number? 20. And I'll let him introduce himself.
David Hartman. This is now my 10th session working with y'all. I work with the House Budget and Research Office. I also work on Ways, Means, and Appropriations, and I have grown very fond of working with this committee. I'm glad I was able to hold on to it, and I look forward to working with y'all this year. Thank you.
And he's a new dad, so the only reason he stays awake is coffee. If he got an injury, it would be coffee that bleeds and not blood. So, and then over to my far left, we have Natasha, and Natasha's a student at Georgia Tech, and she's assisting our committee. And then Nicole Chappelle, and if you don't know Nicole, you've made a mistake, because Nicole runs the operations, and she does a great job. And then Grace is also in our suite, and so you might see Grace at times when you come in. So I just wanted to let you know all the folks that help us do what we need to do. But let's get on to our meetings. I'm going to leave shortly before 9 o'clock, and Representative Townsend is going to have the pleasure of closing the meeting, so he might adjourn quickly. But anyway, let's just get started with natural resources, and introduce your staff, introduce yourself, because you've stepped into this role, and you can sit either place you want to. So, here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning. Of course, the most astounding fact that I heard is all of you introduced yourself and your districts is that David has been here 10 years. That's unreal, because I can remember back, like many of you can, when he first started that role. So and he's very easy to work with. But I know that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm here to brag on the men and women of the Department of Natural Resources. And you'll look behind me, you'll see some, this comes out wrong sometimes, but some old faces in new roles and some new faces in new roles. So I want to introduce them, and then I'm going to let the folks from our division talk a little bit about what they do for the citizens of our state. But with that being said, I want to introduce Deputy Commissioner Thomas Bernard. Most of you know him. He's one of the old faces in a new role. That could probably be construed a couple of different ways. But most of you know Thomas from his previous role as the Colonel of the Law Enforcement Division. And then next to him is Trevor Santos, a new face in a new role. We've gone back to a 2 deputy commissioner model. Both of them are doing a really great job in those roles. And then I have Artisha Gaston in the back there. She's the Director of our Administrative Services. The other face that you'll see but may not hear from today is Alexis Thompson behind me, the lady in green. That kind of rounds out the legislative team that you'll see working with you as we move forward. And then I guess I probably should have started. I'm also kind of an old face in a new role, and my name is Walter Rabin, and have been having the distinct pleasure to serve as the Commissioner of the Department of Natural Resources since August. And of course, again, served in several roles prior to that. Before we roll into the presentations, and Mike, if you want to start coming this way, I just wanted to bring your attention. Most of you have a folder in front of you this morning. If you don't have the folder, it's because we gave it to you in a previous committee meeting. But those folders are distinct to your districts. And as Madam Chair brought up, each of you have DNR in your districts in some shape, form, or fashion, whether that be in a state park, a wildlife management area, public fishing area, or just the law enforcement officers that serve in your districts. Again, we tout and are very proud of the fact that DNR touches every single Georgian in our state daily, and in many different facets. But with that being said, I'll stick around here for questions. I'll introduce to you Colonel Mike England, the new colonel. Mike's been in the law enforcement division for a long, long time, the longest of anyone at this point in time. But I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee. Yes, a long, long time it has been, and a lot of familiar faces, and glad to see everybody here and appreciate what you have done and what you continue to do for our department, and specifically the law enforcement division. I have a presentation that'll be on the screen there. I'm not sure which one you're looking at, but going along through here talking about our mission and vision statement has been the same. We are the oldest state law enforcement agency, founded in 1911, so that we were the first state law enforcement agency there in the state of Georgia. Our game wardens are like any other state police officer. They have full arrest powers to do several different things, but our core mission is hunting, fishing, boating, environmental, and commercial related activities. Our game wardens also conduct search and rescue missions around the state. All of you have had incidents occur around where we've had tornadoes, hurricanes, and natural disasters, and our game wardens are deployed to help with search and rescue efforts anywhere in the state of Georgia. And sometimes we're called to go help and assist other states around the nation. Going over to the next slide, the law enforcement division goals. Conservation law enforcement is our primary goal. Our goal is to protect the natural resources and the people through fair and vigorous enforcement efforts, and provide a safe environment for all of our DNR controlled properties. That's all of our wildlife management areas, our public fishing areas, and our state parks. Those are all considered our state properties. But game wardens enforce the laws and patrol private property and federal property, Forest Service properties, and Corps of Engineers on Lake Lanier and everywhere else around the state. Education, marketing, and community involvement. Our game wardens are actively involved in schools. We're always out talking to kids about wildlife, boating, what we do as a game warden and why it's important to have game wardens in the state of Georgia. Another division goal is training, recruitment, and retention. That's constant with any law enforcement agency, and specifically ours, because our job is very unique in what we do, and we look for that right person to fill that niche to do that particular job. And I'll have another slide later on talking about that. Next slide over, talking about our staffing levels. Currently at 2024, current game wardens in the field were around 191. This number continues to change. It's not daily, but it's sometimes monthly, depending on if people leave or if people move around. New hires, we currently have 18 cadets that are in the academy right now, going through the Game Warden Academy. They will graduate in April of 26 down at the Training Center in Forsyth. We started off with 21 in the academy. We had 22, but one was already certified. We had 3 that did not make it through the first day of the academy, and they decided this was not the job for them, and they backed out, so we're down to 18. So after the Game Warden Academy, we're around 208, 209 as far as employees, full-time game wardens around the state. Another note there that we always mention is that in 2001, we had around 251 full-time positions. That was 23 years ago. And so a lot of things have changed in 23 years. And we've acquired a lot more responsibilities and duties around the state. With our matrix that we have, our number where we should be at is around 342. And I know we've got some things that are moving forward through the budget to help improve some of our numbers, but we're slowly making progress in that area. The next slide over, you look at a map, sort of giving you an idea of where we have vacancies around the state. The blue counties, we started off with the 22. Remember, 3 of those have backed out. So there'll be 3 counties there that'll go away. That'll end up being a green county. But we have 21 actually counties that we don't have a position number for, and that's a unfunded position. So we'll have, with the numbers changing a little bit, we'll have 13 vacant counties and then 18 blue counties around the state. We continue to make efforts to try to recruit and retain folks in our South Georgia area there. I know, talking to Representative Campbell, that's sometimes it's hard to find somebody from North Georgia to tell them to go work South Georgia and get them to stay there. And so we're trying to do a better job at recruiting folks from those particular areas and finding somebody from that spot to do this job and to entertain that idea of being a game warden. Next slide over. Last year we met with Representative Chokas and a public safety committee on retention of law enforcement and hiring law enforcement. And one of the things that we took out of that was some of the representatives asked, what are we doing as an agency to try to help with that problem? We've changed a lot of things throughout the years, not all at one time, but we changed our hiring policy on drug usage. We changed our policy on PT and the swimming. And so most recently here, we changed our policy or our requirement for education. And now we're taking applications for those folks with a high school diploma or a GED. That's exactly what Georgia State Patrol is doing and other agencies, and that's what's required by post. But we don't want to diminish the education value. We still want our folks to obtain an associate's degree or 60 semester hours towards a bachelor's degree before they can promote to corporal, and that's the first line supervisory thing there. We've been working with several of our Georgia technical colleges around the state and a lot of our state colleges, and they are offering credit hours towards a degree by completing the Game Warden Academy and the Post-Basic Law Enforcement Academy. And so we can hire somebody today. It's not going to be somebody right out of high school because they have to be 21 to apply for this job. But we can hire somebody today with a high school diploma that may already have a career somewhere, started something, started a family, got married, whatever the reason being, that they didn't have that opportunity to go to college right out of high school. We can give them that opportunity to come work for us and be a game warden, and then help them along the way to obtain their degree to get promoted, if they so choose. We have several folks that work 20 years and they don't want to be a supervisor, and that's perfectly fine. And those people are still here today, and they do a great job. But as we move through our ranks of sergeant and captain, we help our folks go through PMP, Command College, all at Columbus State, and then we help them obtain those degrees. We don't pay for that out of pocket. We allow them time off, but we do pay for the advanced degrees from captain and up on the Command College stuff. But just wanted to let you know that with your help on certain areas as far as pay and retirement, we're also making changes on our end to try to help ease the burden of hiring folks and keeping folks working. If you look under the picture there, that just shows you that in one day, when we posted that out on Facebook, we reached 500,000 people. We have a lot of users, a lot of viewers in wildlife resources and social media for DNR in general. And that was a big thing that's always been talked about, was that education level as being a hurdle to overcome. And with that, I'll take any questions if anybody has any questions from the committee.
We'll probably move through so we can get our presentations, but
Yes,
we've
ma'am.
got your information. There's a fact sheet in our folder.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know y'all will be available to any members, but thank you for what you do. And retention, I think, might be one of the themes that we have going through this, because it is important for y'all. But Commissioner Rabin is starting an academy. If you'll just say it briefly, but we want to spend more time on that at a later time.
We'd be glad to come back and talk at length about our DNR Career Academy, where we're trying to attract young people before they decide what they want to be when they grow up. And then through that week of training, we give them a educational path to move forward. We give them a mentoring opportunity with our current employees so that they have a current person doing the job that they want to do that they can call and say, hey, how do I get to where you're at? But we'd be glad to come back and talk
All
about
right.
that.
Thank you. And thank you, sir.
We've got Director Ted Will to talk a little bit about wildlife resources.
Thank you, Commissioner and Madam Chair. My name is Ted Will. I oversee the Wildlife Resources Division for our department. Today, you got a fact sheet in front of you, but I'll quickly go over some high-level details of what we touch each and every day. First off, on just an overview real quick, we have 133 wildlife management areas. That's over 1 million acres we're out managing. 11 public fishing areas, 130 lakes on those areas, 800,000 visitors each year. We got 10 fish hatcheries, 3 trout hatcheries, 7 warm water fish hatcheries across the state, producing, growing out around 9 million fish each year. We have 168 boat ramps we renovate those ramps as well. We have a tremendous program there. 46 shooting ranges around the state is under kind of our purview. 7 education centers around the state. Real proud of those facilities. Hundreds, 130,000 plus students and adults coming through there learning about conservation education. Again, we're on water bodies as well. 500,000 acres of reservoirs. We're out sampling fish there, making sure our fishermen have good populations to catch and bring home. And then finally, we assist private landowners. We're growing in that area. Right now, we serve around 340,000 acres of private land, providing assistance to improve habitat on those private lands where we can find those partnership and opportunities. So again, when you think about our division, our mission is simply to conserve your wildlife resources and promote hunting and fishing and other wildlife recreational activities. And we do that through 3 primary functions. First is management on the ground. Secondly is going to be research and surveys. And third is education. I'm briefly go over what that looks like generally on a daily basis in our division. For management, we burn around 75,000 acres of land each year. We have men out there and women, managing around 5,000 acres of waterfowl impoundments. We put the plow on the ground and seed in the dirt for 3,000 acres of food plots for doves and 10,000 acres for just general hunting food plots and wildlife openings. Again, I mentioned fish hatcheries around the state. 9 million fish produced stock each year. We also assist our citizens who have issues with wildlife conflict. So we get around 12,000 calls each year, unique calls about wildlife in their backyards or in their houses. And we're out there, having to provide assistance there as well. And finally, when our citizens are most vulnerable after a storm, we have debris teams that clear the way so we can respond to those issues. As far as research and surveys, it's kind of our next pillar and responsibility. That's really where it gets challenging for us. We're humbled by the opportunity, but we've got 3,000 different plant and animal species under our purview that we're managing for you, your children, and your grandchildren to make sure they're all in good shape for the future. So when you look at that, we're talking about pitcher plants to largemouth bass, from bats to eagles to turkeys to quail. All of these things we're monitoring. Again, we go from gopher tortoises on the upland to sea turtles and terrapins on the coastland. So again, when you look across our state and responsibility, it's humbling, but we have that privilege of making sure we're managing those resources so our future generations can have them and appreciate them. Finally, on education, critically important. We're out there certainly trying to teach young adults, young students about the importance of conservation, what we have out there, what's available to them. And we work with private landowners, teaching them about great stewardship practices on the ground. And we're teaching them how to utilize these resources specifically for hunting and fishing. So we do a lot of education from that standpoint. And it even includes trapping. And finally, we spend a lot of time educating our own staff and training our staff so that they can do and perform their jobs better each and every day. So why do we do all this? It's for our customers, and our customers, you're aware of those, but over 1 million anglers in the state, 800,000 hunters, over 7 million people just enjoy watching wildlife, viewing wildlife. And we have 1.6, a growing, I think you might be aware of this, of target shooters. People just love to go out and have fun at the range. And this is a kind of a new number for us. I'm glad it's there, but as far as anglers and hunters in Georgia, just so you know, in direct expenditures each year, it's $5.2 billion. That's around $14 million a day they're spending when you split that out. So it's important, not only from a conservation standpoint, stewardship, what we're called to do, and then it's also important from an economic standpoint. That's what I got, Commissioner.
Thank you very much for that. I want to point out, too, that some of the revenue coming in with taxes goes into the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Act. And that is a phenomenal program for our state as a whole. We're able to use those funds to improve all these different areas you're talking about. So thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Director Angie Johnson. Again, Angie is not new to the Parks Division, but is fairly new in the director seat. So
I'm just glad you didn't say I was new with the old face.
I knew
Well, good morning, Chair Lady and committee members. My name again is Angie Johnson. I'm the Parks Director. I've been with the State Parks Division for 32 years, and it's an honor to be here and represent our division, which our division is to protect our state's natural beauty and historic integrity while providing public enjoyment and education. So education is an important component for us as well. As you can see in your fact sheet in your packet as well on the screen, we have a very diverse state park system with 48 state parks, 15 historic sites, 8 golf courses, 2 historic welcome centers, 1 excursion train, and over 900 miles of trails that include hiking, biking, paddling, and equestrian. So with over 14 million visitors to our parks a year, we make a substantial impact to the economic impact to the state at $1.6 billion and over 10,000 jobs created, so or supported. So we're proud of that. We are the stewards of some of Georgia's most unique and significant natural resources. If you'll take a look at the photos there, we have some beautiful natural resources. We are the holder of 5 of Georgia's 7 natural wonders. and that includes Tallulah, Amicalola, Providence Canyon, and Okefenokee, C. Foster, as well as Warm Springs down at Roosevelt's Little White House. Stone Mountain is also one of the 7 still owned by the state, but not under our care directly. The types and varieties of accommodations throughout the state are also very diverse. We have 427 cottages at 37 parks and a variety of styles, many that are dog-friendly. We also have 2,600 campsites at 45 parks, some of which are paddle-in, walk-in, or backcountry. We also have yurts, group camps, and 3 modern lodges. We are the caretaker of some of Georgia's most significant historic sites. We have 15 historic sites in Georgia, and the importance of those sites cannot be understated. Our sites include recognizing the earliest residents of Georgia, including Etowah Indian mounds and Kalamoki mounds, all the way down to some of the most solemn moments in history, such as the Trail of Tears at New Echota. Our state historic sites are important. They recognize important moments and celebrate important moments of history, including the nation's first gold rush at the Dahlonega Gold Museum and FDR's legacy down at the Little White House. The greatest challenge that we have is our aging facilities and infrastructure, as well as staffing challenges, including recruitment, retention, and succession. However, through the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program and funding through bonds and also generous support from our legislature, we've been able to make some needed repairs to our aging facilities over the last several years. And you'll notice on the screen there, Fort Yargos State Park, we've got new cottages there, and also at Chattahoochee Bend. We've had renovations to campgrounds at Vogel, Indian Springs, H. Stevens, and also FDR. Thankfully, through the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program, we also have had new visitor centers at Skidaway Island and Wormslow Historic Site, as well as Amicalola Falls. We've also had renovations to some of our historic structures, like the fire tower at H. Stevens. We also have had opportunities to make trail improvements, including the new ADA trail at High Falls State Park. Reflecting on the last decade and a half, we've come a long way. I think it's important to look back and see where we've come from. We've always been a great resource for Georgians, but through COVID, we proved that we were a safe haven, and we provided both mental and physical health for the citizens of the state. And since then, our visitation has just continued to soar. The park managers have driven revenue by increasing occupancy by their offerings and additional things that they're doing on their sites. And the division, with the help of the legislature, has been able to invest in facilities that generates better revenue and is able to help us to offset these challenges. Our division has worked hard to find new ways to operate and become more efficient and sustainable, and I'm proud of what we've done in the last 15 years. None of this could be possible without our greatest resource, and that's our people, and we have the best, and I'm not ashamed to say that. So in an effort to recruit and retain, we have developed a robust training program for our employees. We are growing the next generation of park rangers through our DNR Career Academy, our Park Ranger Manager and Training Program, Park Ranger Academy, our DNR Leadership Academy, and our State Parks Leadership Program. On the screen, that's our leadership team, and most of those folks on the screen there have more than 2 decades of experience. And in closing, we are DNR, and we're here to serve. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for your presentation, and I would advise the committee members to look in their folders too, because there's more information in there for you.
Thank you, Chair.
We have some members who've tried to go to all the state parks, so we might need to make that a program, a challenge to us as well.
Sure, and as the gentleman that left pointed out, the cotton hats, we also really push our Georgia-grown products, and we use Georgia-grown cotton to produce a Georgia-produced T-shirt at our retail stores too. So.
Thank you very much.
And if you think she talks fast, that's exactly how she works every day. That pace. So last, certainly not least, we have our Coastal Resources Division, and most of you are familiar with Director Doug Haymans, who had to go to D.C. for a meeting up there, but I promise y'all lucked out. Y'all came out on the better side of his meeting.
He's not here to defend himself.
Let me introduce Dr. Carolyn Belcher to you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm here representing Doug, as the Commissioner indicated. He's at the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission, representing our agency at the interstate level. We are, as he likes to say, the smallest but the most diverse of the divisions within the Department of Natural Resources. And basically everything that Ted does is what we do, but in the marine environment, and we have a few other additional caveats. So next slide. Our jurisdiction, most folks think of the 6 coastal counties because of the docks and some of the other things that appear in the coastal management side of the shop. We actually extend into 11 coastal counties, so we get 1 tier farther in on the coast. The coastal management program also extends some of our involvement and authority out into federal waters. Basically, we represent the state in matters that the feds may be looking into, whether it's offshore wind power, the mineral rights and drilling for oil. We actually represent the state to make sure that those impacts are considered and that our voice is heard at that level. Marsh and shore is a lot of what you know in terms of the beach access, private docks and access to marinas. Those are all governed under the marsh and shore part of the house. Next slide. Division staff, as we've said, we're small. There's 68 of us full-time employees. We're divided under 4 senior staff. Doug Haymans is our director. Carl Burgess is our assistant director. He pretty much deals with the maintenance and care and upkeep of our campus, which is shared with the other divisions, which is kind of a unique place relative to some of our other building sites throughout the state. And they have the administrative services side of the shop. Jill Andrews is the coastal management side. Interestingly, shellfish is one of the few things that does not fall under our fisheries side of the house, and a lot of that has to do with the leasing aspects of the bottoms that are associated with those fisheries. I have the marine fisheries side, very analogous again to what Director Will had said about fisheries. For them is a lot of what we provide on the marine fisheries side of the shop. We're looking at both fisheries, commercial fisheries interactions, recreational fisheries interactions, the populations of the fish that are there, and also the habitat that those fish use. Next slide. So marine fisheries is basically divided into 4 main shops. We have research and data collection. This is associated with the animals themselves as well as the individuals that go after those animals, whether again, commercial fisheries, which we don't have very many within the state, but they're extremely important, the ones that we do have. And also again, fishery statistics that is helpful for our constituents at times when there's similar with natural disasters. We have effects of winter kills that can affect the shrimp fishery, hurricanes and other natural disasters that can put them at risk. We also help collect that data, which will help them get federal funding when those opportunities arise. That's provided pretty much through our surveys and statistics group. So they're more focused on the information that they get from the people in the fisheries and what they catch, how much, and what the value is, versus the recreational data collection, which is more to the fish and the population sides. The habitat and public access is our offshore artificial reefs, inshore reefs. So we're building habitat mostly based on oyster shells or other aggregates that actually help grow colonies of oysters and soft corals to bring fish in and increase fishing opportunities. And they're also involved in boating access and fishing piers around the coastal areas. The fishery, they're good. Fishery management, we're partnering, as we indicated earlier, with the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. So we are one of the 13 states from Maine through the east coast of Florida that's involved in managing fish that obviously don't like to stay in their own states. We also interact with the South Atlantic Fisheries Management Council, which is representing Georgia's interest in federal fisheries on the waters that occur from 3 to 200 miles, and currently I am the council chair for that group. Next slide. Coastal and ocean management, a lot of what is involved in their side of the shop is again looking at marshlands, protecting of marshlands, water bodies, and they're tied in with the federal government from the standpoint of, again, we can weigh in on federal impacts that can affect the constituents of Georgia. Compliance and enforcement, a lot of what's involved in that is not necessarily what law enforcement does, but it's going out and it's more like a code enforcement equivalent. As docks are being built, when they submit for permits, it's making sure that they are compliant with that permit, that they're not impacting protected areas in terms of the marsh versus highland, making sure that those lines are maintained and the projects are built according to specifications. Shellfish and water quality, like I said earlier, is aquaculture falls under their side mostly because of the leases, the bottom leases and such. Water quality is a function of beach safety. We work through with public health on that aspect, especially during those warm weather months when you have different bacteria that can affect health and safety in the water bodies. So next one. So division funding, this is one of the few things that we kind of focus on, but most of what I think is the take home is that while we are mostly federally funded, a lot of what we have is pass-through money. So information that comes, or monies that come through from the federal agency side actually help with local municipalities and projects that they're doing. We have the Coastal Incentive Grants Program, which is run through Jill's shop. And basically what that does is that gives opportunities for municipalities to figure out ways to be resilient to what's happening with sea level rise, erosion, and beach issues for their municipalities. And with that, that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much. And one of the other jobs y'all do for the state of Georgia is the response to emergency situations, the hurricanes. You'll just briefly help us, just no, I didn't want to throw it at you, but I just want our committee to know that we bring in all the resources from Department of Natural Resources, but you stepped in when the Golden Ray turned over in the right there and near St. Simons, Jekyll Island, and had been responsive to all the hurricanes and everything too. So Department of Natural Resources carries a huge responsibility for our state, and you can tell by our presentations how awesome it is. And when we take our study trips out to, everybody wants to start at the coast, just to let you know. It's we might be going to see the mountains, but they want to start at the coast. So just
We should.
yeah. But thank you for your presentation.
Well, and Madam Chair, I'll just wrap up by saying it's easy to see the passion that our folks have. And these are the folks that are like me that ride a desk each day. So you should get out with our staff that are in the field, that are actually out there doing the cool stuff that you saw in these pictures, and see the passion that they have. And you too share that passion with us, and it's just a great team that we have with a governor that's a sportsman, a General Assembly that sees the value of our natural resources, and then a department full of passionate people that go to work with a mission each day. So thank you.
We thank you and your team. Thank you. I think Jeff Cowan is up next with EPD.
Yes, ma'am.
And he brings stickers and puts violations on everything.
Thank you,
Thank you very much. If we'll turn the program to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Jeff Cowan. I'm the new director, I guess, 6 months in, so I'm not sure I can use new anymore. I'm one of the old faces in a new role somewhat. In my 34th year with DNR, almost 29 with EPD, 5 with state parks, and I've probably presented to this committee 15 or 20 years, so glad to always be here, always enjoy it. I have with me my Deputy Director, John Eunice. I think he's in the back. My Director of Policy and Governmental Affairs, Katie Haggerty. These are the two people that you'll, plus my branch chiefs that you'll see over helping you with legislation that affects CPD and other subjects that affect TPD. I'm going to go through this as fast as I can. Cut me off, Madam Chair. I'm always glad to come back. But our mission is the Environmental Protection Division protects and restores Georgia's environment. We take the lead in ensuring clean air, water, and land. With our partners, we pursue a sustainable environment that provides a foundation for a vibrant economy and healthy communities. Partnership in there. I stress partnership. Y'all are partners with us. A lot of partners we deal with every day. Alexis. Quickly on our funding, this is coined from former EPD director, now OPB director, Rick Dunn. We have a conservative yet complex budget, which is comprised of nearly 50 separate revenue sources, including state appropriations. State appropriations is about a third, federal about a third, fee funded about a third. And we have some trust funds that I'll go over later in here that we administer. Our organization, which is our best asset we have are the great people like DNR that do this work every day. They really want to do this work. Over 700 full-time employees. Most are environmental specialists, geologists, engineers, lab scientists, mostly STEM employees. We have in all of our facilities across the state. We have our branches and our administrations here in Atlanta, either in the Twin Towers, the Ag Building, or Atlanta Tradeport out near the airport. We have 7 district offices around the state that y'all probably your constituents will contact first if there's any issues. We have a laboratory in Peachtree Corners that does wastewater and water sampling. We have 2 ag permitting offices, one in Tifton and one in Dawson, Georgia. First off, air protection branch. We do a lot of air quality measurements across the state. We have 34 ambient air monitoring sites across Georgia. The closest one is our South DeKalb site over here near us that we monitor over 200 pollutants. We do air quality forecasting. We have the Office of State Climatologist that helps us with that air forecasting, and he also helps us with drought monitoring. And thank you, Representative McDonald. I look at Lake Lanier's levels every day as well. I do not want to declare drought. Also, our air protection branch does a lot of planning. They prepare rule packages for presentation to the DNR board based on federal statutes, state statutes to keep up with our rules. We have to prepare a state implementation plan to give to US EPA for our primacy for the Clean Air Act for the state of Georgia. We prepare emission inventories for stationary and mobile source emissions. Anybody that gets a permit has to have an inventory of what's in the area and all what kind of pollutants they're going to be giving out. And we develop these strategies all the time, and we're currently doing a climate action plan based on an EPA grant looking at things to reduce pollution in the state. They also regulate mobile sources, the inspection and maintenance program. Over 3 million vehicles or gasoline vehicles tested each year here in the 13-county area. 700 inspection stations, 2,000 certified operators, and they look at the gasoline vapor recovery and also these big tanker trucks that go across there. We make sure they have rules that they have to meet as well when they offload that gas into the stations. We regulate and air the stationary sources like 400 to 500 air quality permits. Most industries have to have a air permit. A lot of diesel generators as well that folks have, like on data centers and everything else. We regulate the air permitting on that. We do well over 400 inspections annually by our air branch and our district operations that I'll talk in a moment. We perform industrial source emission testing at these industries. We also license radio material folks. That is mainly medical and industrial users. Over 400 licenses are in Georgia. We respond to radiologic and nuclear incidents, and we have a small business environmental assistance program that helps small business get air permits and other things like that. Going on to the land protection. Alexis is good, she's right with me. We manage the underground storage tank program. We do operator training. We inspect these every 3 years. We do standards for tank installation, and then if there's a problem, we oversee the cleanup by the tank owners. We administer a trust fund to finance these cleanups, and I think I have a slide on that later. Also, other things in land branch, they do solid waste management. They do training there. We permit landfills and material recovery facilities and compost operations. And we also inspect the construction of these facilities and the operation of these facilities. We do corrective action on these facilities for contaminated groundwater and/or explosive gases. And we do closure of these landfills and oversee the maintenance post-closure maintenance for over 30 years. We administer hazardous waste programs for EPA and for the state laws. We do RCRA here in Georgia. We do generation of hazardous waste, transportation of hazardous waste, storage of hazardous waste, collection of other small quantity generators of waste as well. And we also we do a lot of remediation, oversee a lot of remediation on former hazardous waste sites in the state. Another thing we do that you probably well know about is scrap tires. We try to prevent scrap tires from being dumped by managing carriers and processors in the state. We inspect tire retailers, investigate tire dumps, abandoned tires. We also have a group that administers and overviews lead and asbestos in the state. The Solid Waste Trust Fund is the fund for your new replacement tires. It goes into that fund to help us administer these programs, and we thank y'all for the dedication of those fees. They right now go through 2032, That's given us a lot of opportunity to make sure tire piles are cleaned up and issue grants to local governments and folks for innovative recycling and other things like crumb rubber. The source of funding is the new $1 per tire fee, and like I said, it has been dedicated, and we appreciate that. And also penalties, fines, and bond forfeitures go in this fund as well, which is a small part of that, but they do go into solid waste trust fund. You with me, Hazardous Waste Trust Fund? The Hazardous Waste Trust Fund is there to clean, it's sort of a state super fund versus federal super fund. It's a state super fund. There's a lot more sites on there that wouldn't make the level of a state super fund. I mean, a federal super fund. It is funded mainly with 75 cents per ton of your solid waste that's disposed in Georgia. This fund helps local governments investigation of cleanup of leaking old landfills. We have emergency action, you have an accident at a site or a release, we help with that as well under an emergency. We do enforcement, and oversight of private cleanups, collection of fees, and administration of the program. Like I said, it's the tipping fees, and it's also the hazardous waste management fees and the hazardous substance reporting fees that sort of got left out because they're in 2 different acts in 2021, but y'all dedicated those in 2023. So thank y'all. The GUSH Trust Fund I talked about on it's an insurance program for gas underground tank operators. It's funded by 3/4 cents per gallon purchase for sale, and we're here. Everybody that's in this fund gets $1 million of coverage for a release. Each release, it's a $10,000 copay, but you still get $1 million every time it's released. This is a great fund, and you can do a state contractor or you can do your own contractor to clean up your tanks. And that's again how it's used. Watershed Protection Branch. They do all the monitoring, study, and modeling of Georgia's streams, rivers, estuaries, and groundwater. They develop water quality standards, issue permits to local governments, industry to discharge wastewater and stormwater, do buffers and erosion control in the state, support education through Project WET and Rivers Alive, conduct regional water planning, and they manage it. We do a lot of monitoring, study, and modeling Georgia streams, issue with water withdrawal permits to farmers, local governments, industries, and water suppliers, implement water conservation measures, regulate Category 1 dams, work with FEMA on floodplain management, and conduct water. And we also do ensure safe drinking water for everybody. We have about 2,400 groundwater withdrawal permits in this state for agriculture and local water systems. We conduct water assessments and review wellhead protections plans around these wells. Our district operations, the 7 offices out in the state, usually your first in line for your constituents for complaints and inspections. And you've got a thing in your report that shows all our offices. Emergency response, as Madam Chair was talking about a minute ago, we worked as well with CRD on the Golden Ray when it turned over, and we're still working, I think, on the NERDA claim on that as well. We have a lab at Peachtree Corners, 65 scientists, 5 technicians. They do microbiology, gas chromatic, I can't even say that, sorry. Inorganics, metals, and all these things. So they mainly are here to assure that water samples across the state are in compliance. So they provide a service to local governments and private water samplers. And I'm about out of breath, and this final picture is a sunset at Crooked River State Park. And Chairman Townsend, you can go ahead now and close it.
Thank you, Director Cowan. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
You sit here on the job, what's your favorite part of what you've done so far?
Wow, So it's hard to say that, but the one that's really got to be my favorites over the years, I visited Seminole State Park before Hurricane Michael. We got there the day after Hurricane Michael, and over the years we've got it going again, and it's very different, but it's very wonderful, and it's to see that cleanup and that new transformation is sort of one of my favorites now.
Yeah, I'm
They're
sure.
all my favorite. They're like my children.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you, and appreciate what you do and your department does, and everybody else that's spoken today. And before we break, before we leave and close the meeting today, we have a couple of representatives that stepped in right after it started. We all introduced ourselves. So I'm going to go to my left. I believe you're where are you at? 16, yeah. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Representative Mary Frances Williams from District 37, which is City of Marietta and Cobb, and have been on this committee since I was first elected in 2018, and it's probably my favorite committee. So thanks so much for all this information.
Thank you. I believe Representative Gamble, you are 10.
Thank you, Chairman. Matthew Gamble from Cartersville, Georgia, House District 15. And I appreciate the opportunity to hear the presentation today. Everybody that I've dealt with on this team has been awesome. And I do want to say, because I didn't get to say it last year, it's been 2 years now, but I did a ride-along with the DNR Law Enforcement Division on Memorial Day in 2022. And what I went out thinking was just going to be a day of learning and maybe some BUIs and things like that. We were 30 minutes into my ride along when we got a call that a child was reportedly had drowned, and we responded to that. And the next 5.5 hours that was worked, and I was on the boat, so there was no getting off of that boat for me. And I got to see those men and women respond to that. I'll never forget that. And I just wanted to thank our law enforcement division folks, because I wasn't thinking about all that part of the job, but on any given day, you just don't know what you're going to face. And I wanted to thank them especially. Philip Stout was who I was with that day, and that was something I'll never forget. That's right. Yep, that's right.
Thank you, Representative Gamble. Did I leave anybody out? I'm sorry?
Thank you, Mr.
Representative.
Chairman. I'm Noel Williams, House District 148. I'd like to thank Walter and the DNR staff, but sometimes you can have too many game wardens, particularly during duck season. Just want to throw that out there. But thank you for what y'all do, and we really appreciate you. And if there's anything we can do as a committee or on a personal note, just let us know. Thanks again.
Now, Representative, I'm a first-time sitting chair. We're not allowed rebuttals to those comments, are we? About too many?
No, I'm telling you no.
Okay. I'm first chair, so I won't take his advice. Representative Wiedauer.
I'm Marcus Wiedauer. I represent Oconee County and a little bit of Clark, but I get the great opportunity to represent Mike England. So I appreciate you being a good constituent. But just appreciate everything you guys do. I've been working with Angie on a little something I hope we get to roll out here in the very near future. It's going to be good for all Georgians. So leave you with that little teaser.
Thank you, Representative. And I thought we got one more.
Thank you. I wanted to commend the DNR Law Enforcement Division. I had a constituent to call me and said that there was illegal hunting in an urban area. I had never heard of that. And she gave the credit of the person being caught to the DNR Law Enforcement. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And real quick, my closing comments, Commissioner, I just want to say thank you. And you've got a great team. You guys are showing a lot of passion. I think everybody on this up here, we have a lot of passion as well. And that's what makes it work. And if we work together for the good of Georgia, that's what it's all about. And at times, I'm not sure if everybody realizes, at times we'll disagree professionally or whatever else. But if you talk through those things, meet with each other, and actually talk and listen, you can get things done. And this group, this is my second year. I've been totally impressed and just appreciate the guidance from this committee and what you guys do. And with that, I'm going to say, I'm not sure, how do you close the meeting? The meeting is officially adjourned? We don't have to have a vote, do we? Okay, meeting is adjourned.